Hello and welcome to the Mum Boss Method podcast, and you are joining me today for a Mum Boss at Home community check-in. This is where the members of my community fill in their check-in form every week for me, and I use this podcast to coach them, to help them, to celebrate their wins and support them. So let's crack on with today's check-in. We'll start by going through the wins. So Stacey knew she had a lot of things planned, and that meant that she'd planned the whole week. So food was good, and her routine was good. Sarah's exercise has been great. Her steps have been amazing. She's drank loads of water every day. It was so hot last week. I think we all hit water goals last week. Helen has discovered alcohol-free gin. It's called Sipsmith, and it's great. Really feels like a drink but no alcohol. I've not tried that. I've heard lots of people raving about the non-alcoholic gin, and I haven't tried it, and I should do, really. So yeah. Jackie has nearly smashed everything except sleep. Jack got up at 5 a.m. for a run and has had 2 lovely weekends with her family. Lisa has acknowledged her feelings. She's not hit the fuck it button. She realises it's okay to be grumpy, and she's really proud that she's not turned to food or alcohol to make her feel better. Claire has slept well. She's had good protein content in her food. Steph has been having sunny morning walks most days, which she hadn't been overly consistent with recently, but it's such a good way to start the day, and the sun certainly helps. Her general movement and exercise was good this week, and she felt a lot happier for it. Sophie had a big weekend this weekend, which came with lots of people taking photos. She usually dreads looking back through them, but this was the first time she hasn't felt horrified looking back through any of herself, and even had the tops of her arms out. Well done, Soph. And Tish made fantastic food choices Monday to Friday. Lovely wins. Well done, ladies. Okay, so let's go through some of the challenges and questions. So one big challenge that I think most people found with last week was that their sleep was really difficult, really challenging. It was so hot, wasn't it? So I feel you on this. We sleep in the roof of the house, and yes, it was absolutely sweltering. And this person really struggled with their sleep, but also had a really busy few weeks mixing with lots and lots of people, and have ended up with a cold. So now they need to take care of themselves. Yes, absolutely. So some challenges and questions here from the same person. So I'm going to share all of what they've said. So this person is consistently finding the same thing challenging, which is that they have a little treat, maybe some chocolate or some cake, and so they'll stick to their calories for most of the day, and then they get to the end of the day and then they start snacking on sweet stuff, cakes, biscuits, chocolate, and then they realise they've hit their calories or gone over them, so they hit the fuck it button, stop tracking, and consistently they're doing this most days of the week. This week, this person took part in my 5-day kickstart and filled in a personal check-in form, which is part of what I offer in the Last Diet Club. It's a hybrid between group and one-to-one coaching. So everyone in the Last Diet Club gets one-to-one check-ins, personalised, and they get a video back from me every other week with feedback, as well as ongoing chat support when they're struggling with things. And so this person, nearly said their name then, this person got a video from me at the end of last week, because they filled in that check-in form as part of the kickstart, and they also had asked for me to look at their food diary. So she thinks she needed a firm word, and she's been making much better choices since she had that feedback. The excuse that she's been making is that she's justifying how many snacks she's having by the amount of exercise that she's doing. But if I want to lose weight, the weight I want, I need to stop overindulging. So my response to this is, let's firstly change the want to lose weight to the I want to lose fat, or I want to change my body composition, because we know that weight loss and fat loss are not the same thing. So I really would like for you to start using that terminology. And on that vein, I've also had a peek at all of your details in the app, and I think I've said this to you a couple of times before, so I would really like you to take this on board, hold yourself accountable and do it. Please, can you start taking measurements, because the only metrics I can see on your app are weights. And this is for anyone listening. If you are only measuring your progress by the weight on the scales, yet you are exercising, ticking the boxes, you are lifting weights, you are going to forever be disappointed, because the weighing scales do not show you fat loss. They show you total weight loss. And let's be real about this. You could lose a pound just by doing a really big poo. Yes, I said it. So can you please stop measuring your success just by the number on the scales? And please, can you start using our app and putting your measurements in there as well? Thank you very much. Okay, so to answer this point around you're justifying how many snacks you're having because of the amount of exercise you're doing, all of your calories, this is everyone that works with me, all of your calories include the exercise that you do. So I've already done that calculation for you. So if you are, and this goes for anyone listening, if you've used my calorie calculator, anyone else's calorie calculator, it will ask you to put in how much activity you're doing. If you are then overeating on that number, and you are justifying that because you have done loads of exercise, you are overeating because your calories include your activity. But also, we do not exercise to burn calories. We do not exercise for fat loss. We exercise for health. We exercise to build muscles, to become toned, to change our body composition. If you continue to exercise to burn calories, you will also be sorely disappointed. Exercising, running, doing a gym class, even coming to my workouts in the morning, if you are doing that just to see how many calories you're burning on your watch, it is the most inefficient way of burning calories there is. You would be better off, if you want to look at calorie burn, you would be better off doing a walk. You would be better off doing a walk. Exercise to change your body shape for your health, for your strength, for your heart and cardiovascular health, for your mind. Do not do it to burn calories. So stick to the plan that I gave you in the week. So what we've done for this lovely lady is that she is having one indulgent snack per day. She's tracking all of her treats so that she knows the reality of what she's doing. Because it's often the response to your overindulgence or your treats that is worse than the actual treat yourself. So you eat some chocolate, you eat a bit more, you go over your calories, so you stop tracking, you think, fuck it, I've ruined it, so what's the point? And then you just carry on. But then you really go over your calories, you don't know the reality of the damage that you've done, because you're not tracking them. And so then you tell yourself you'll start again on Monday, and maybe you'll do a few days where you stick to it, and then comes to Wednesday or Thursday and the cycle starts again. So I want you to hold yourself accountable, be honest to everything that you are eating and drinking, and then you can see the true picture of where you might need to make some changes and some compromises. And that goes for the weekends as well. That goes for any alcohol that you are drinking. just because you don't track it doesn't mean it doesn't happen. Your body is the best tracking tool you have. So if you are not losing body fat, which you will only know if you're losing if you take the full picture and not just using your weight as your measure of success, then you are going to, oh my goodness, my recording app just stops then. I'm really sorry. So yes, make sure that you're using all of the measures of success, not just your weight. And remember that even at the weekend, calories still count. What you eat and drink still counts. And just because you tracked it doesn't mean it didn't happen. This same lady said that she found the midweek check-in and advice really helpful. It made her feel accountable, which is huge for me. And as I said, this client took part in my 5-day kickstart, and so midweek check-ins and those one-to-one check-ins are part of the Last Diet Club, and it's a hybrid of group and one-to-one support, which is why you got that being on the kickstart. Okay, right, so someone who hasn't been feeling well for a couple of weeks and has therefore struggled to do that consistently, which is completely understandable, has said, when I don't exercise, I eat more and it just throws me off. And this is really, really common, and why I always encourage you to try and get your exercise done as early in the day as you possibly can, even if that's just a walk, because it really helps to set you up for that amazing day. Now, we're in Team Mum Boss. Across all of my programs, we're doing a July movement challenge. Ladies, if you're listening to this and you don't know what I'm talking about, come and ask me. This will take us just a few minutes each day. There are rest days, but it will take us a few minutes each day, and it's a great way to wake up each morning. Mine this morning took less than a minute, so that's going to be a great way of getting some movement in during the day. But knowing this about yourself, so knowing that when you don't exercise, you eat more and it throws you off, what can you do to help with that? Now, the same lady goes on to say that exercising in the heat is a real struggle. She knows I would say to do it early, but you find that really hard because your bedroom is in the loft. Me too. So on sticky nights, I often don't sleep well, so I don't want to get up early. I always walk a lot. Maybe I could do it throughout the day, sets of squats at various points, deadlifts, etc. Weights would be harder though when it's hot. Using a fan, I guess, would help. So I've got a few points to make on this. So I do understand that exercising in the heat is really, really difficult. And I've already made on the previous point, getting it done as early as possible is one of the best solutions. I understand that when you are listen, as someone who struggles with their sleep regularly, I'm regularly on 4, 5, if I'm lucky, 6 hours sleep. It's not something I'm proud of. It's something I'm desperately working to sort out. I do understand how hard that is to then want to get out of bed. Even though I wake up super early, I very rarely go back to sleep. So the fact that you do get back to sleep, I'm immensely jealous of. But doing it earlier or doing it later is ideal, so that it's done in one go. Because what you've suggested is maybe you could break it up through the day. That's an option, but it's not an ideal option. So the reason we are doing these workouts is to fatigue and work the muscles, to build them, to grow them, and that won't be done if they're spread out during the day. So if you do 10 squats in the morning, 10 at lunchtime and 10 in the afternoon, that's not going to be fatiguing the muscles. That's the point of us doing our 30-minute workouts all in one go. So it's cooler this week. I'm hoping that really helps you. I do understand, as with anything, much of this journey is about finding what works for you, and sometimes we have to compromise. Now, I'm not telling you to compromise on sleep, because lack of sleep brings with it a whole heap of other situations, but maybe what it does mean is exercising at 8:30 in the evening when you'd normally rather not. You'd maybe have got it done at 6 or something, and that's the compromise. Good. Okay, what else have we got? So bloating. I'm trying to stay focused on the why when you feel like a whale is hard. Okay, I think this person did mean the whale comparison as a joke, but the questions I would ask here are: do you know why you're bloating? Is it hormonal? Something you've eaten? Remember, bloating is not the same as body fat. So, and actually often moving is really super helpful for bloating. I think I'm now in a stage of owning it, stopping when I realised I'm snacking, etc. I know I need to move more and do the weights. Yes, absolutely. So something that obviously is a theme, and that's why I've created our July movement challenge. You know, you run regularly, but steps are important, and doing the weights are important. I would like everyone to be doing their weight routine or some kind of weight routine 3 times per week. You know how beneficial it is. I've talked about this loads and loads for your ongoing health, but also you specifically for your running. So you're part of the July challenge as well. That's something little every day, and we are building it up as we go through the month. Okay, so a bit of tough love incoming, buckle up. So this person has said, using the fact that I have low energy to not exercise, despite knowing it will help me to feel a bit better and lift my mood. And then she's put, I love you, I do want to exercise. What would you recommend in terms of movement when energy levels are low? Now, I don't know if she's put I love you before that because she knows that tough love is incoming. We've had this conversation, me and you, I think every week for a few weeks. So, July movement challenge, there is no excuse. This morning, it took me 1 minute to do the 3 exercises I've set you. What's going on with your health is an ongoing issue, and there is no reason you shouldn't be exercising, even if you have to take it a little bit easier, even if you have to pause the videos, even if you have to take a few extra breaks. Okay? What would I recommend in terms of movement when energy levels are low? You can still get your steps in. You can still do your workouts as long as you feel okay. Just go at your own pace. Slow down. Take a few more breaks. You can pause me. You aren't moving, so how do you expect the energy to return? If we are feeling sluggish, if we're feeling low in energy, the antidote to that is exercise and good food. So you've got absolutely no excuse. This month, you are starting with 1 push-up, 5 squats and 5 crunches. And like I said, it took me less than a minute. Okie dokie. What else have we got? Okay. This was a great question. I had a week last week where I found balancing my work, being a mum, exercising, keeping the house clean, getting enough sleep, etc., a bit of a challenge and slightly overwhelming. I don't often struggle with this and usually have a it is what it is attitude, but I felt it last week and I ended up sacrificing some parts of my plan, i.e. exercise on Friday morning, to make way for something else. Any advice on how to tackle it? I know you're not a life coach, but anything you have done to help yourself in these moments previously? Actually, I am a life coach, so did you not know that? Now you do. A couple of things. So you mentioned in a previous couple of comments that I didn't read out, but I'll just read this one out. The last sentence was need to plan better. So I can't stress enough to everyone how crucial planning is. Use the Planning Your Week guide that I sent round a few weeks ago. It's also on our app. We put off planning and we tell ourselves we don't have time to do it, or we can just wing it. But I promise you that spending 10 to 15 minutes on a Sunday is life enhancing stuff. I also really advocate doing a mini plan every morning before the rest of the house gets up if you can. Because this helps you, planning your week and then a mini plan every morning helps you to see the big picture. It helps you to see where things might need to change, where you might need help, or where you might need to let something go. If you can make the decision ahead of time that you have to let go of something, it's much easier to accept than letting it go really last minute. So knowing ahead of time where the pinch points are is powerful in that you can plan for them. So for example, knowing that you might not have time to make a healthy breakfast for yourself in the morning, then can you prep something the night before? Rather than make a choice in the moment that's either poor, or as you've said in your check-in form, you've skipped breakfast a couple of days altogether. And remembering that filling your cup is the best way of helping you cope with overwhelm. So thinking about what else you might need to help you get through weeks like that. So maybe it wasn't more workouts. Maybe instead it was 30 minutes of you time with a book and a cup of tea, or a walk on your own listening to something, and thinking about it like that. And then the last thing I would say is, have you asked for help? As women, we really struggle to do this, and I know that everyone's situations are different. Not everyone has family just down the road that can help them to, whether it be with the kids or whatever, but think outside of the box for that. So one thing that like an example that I'm going to give, and I know that not everyone is in this position, and I am very grateful that I am, and I'm very fortunate, but I have had a cleaner since, in fact I've got a couple of examples like this. I've had a cleaner since Charlie was 2, so that is 11 years. In fact, I think he was 1, because I'm just thinking about the house we were in when I got that cleaner, and I'm pretty sure, yes, he turned 1 in that house. So I've had a cleaner for 12 years, and the only time I didn't have a cleaner was during lockdowns when we weren't allowed to have cleaners. Let me tell you, I would give up getting my nails done as regularly as I get them done now. I would put off having my hair done. I currently go 6 or 7 weeks before I cut on a colour. I'd go to 2.5 months. I'd go to 4 weeks for my nails, which would make typing impossible, but I'm not joking. That is what I would do before I had to give up my cleaner. Because after having one for so many years and then going into lockdown and thinking and having to do it myself, even with my husband's help, because he has nothing better to do, right? It still took us 4 hours on a Saturday. Absolutely not. I'm not going back to that. Another thing I pay someone else to do, my ironing. I try to buy clothes that don't need ironing, and I now pay someone to do my ironing because I hate ironing. Tom used to do the ironing, and then he just started hating it, and it would pile up and pile up and pile up. No one would have any clothes, so we pay for someone to do our ironing. Okay, and I don't care if this makes me sound like an absolute snob. There are things that I grew up in a house where my mum did the washing and the ironing and the cleaning until I was old enough, and then I did the cleaning with her. It's just not something I'm willing to sacrifice. I have better things to do with 4 hours of my Saturday. My husband has better things to do with 2 hours of his Sunday, which is when he used to do the ironing. Online shopping as well. I very rarely, I might pop into Aldi on my way home from the gym on a Saturday morning, and I literally get there when it opens, so I'm in and out in 20 minutes. Online shopping. I know everyone says, oh, I don't like the substitutions I get. I like to pick my own fruit. I don't want to pay for delivery and all of this stuff. But honestly, I spend less because I do online shopping, and I am not, drawn in by ridiculous deals of things I don't need. I do it to a plan. I get just what I want, and then I don't do it anymore, and it arrives at my door. And yeah, sometimes there's really annoying substitutions, but you know what? There's a shop around the corner. The worst comes to the worst, I'll have to go and get something else. So I would really think about, like, what are the things that you can either stop doing, delegate. What are the things that you do that you don't have to do? What are the things that you do that you're actually making life harder for yourself with? And you know what? You might say, okay, there are weeks where I have to drop one workout session, and I'll be okay with that. Or I have to drop one run or one walk. But actually, there are other weeks where I can do this, this, and this. So thinking about the outside of the box things that you can help with, that is what really helps me. And I still get this as well. I still get the overwhelm of life. The endless emails from school about the things that we need to do, and this and that. And at the moment, it's food tech, and I get it. I run my own business. I get it. But sometimes we don't make these things easy for ourselves. Sometimes we do things, we say yes to things, or we don't say no, and we make life hard for ourselves. And then the final point I'll make actually is, when you are feeling really overwhelmed, I find it super useful to just write everything out. All the things that are overwhelming me, and put them in buckets, and that really, really helps, because when I'm overwhelmed, I am more forgetful than I am normally. I hope that helps. Okay, I'm going to the Maldives to work this week. Top tips for sticking on plan while tackling long haul flights and jet lag. Lack of sleep is always a bit of a trigger for overeating for me. So I would love to say, oh wow, how nice for you, but as I used to travel for work, I bet it won't be as glam as it sounds. So I hope it goes okay. So my tips would be, try as much as possible to eat on the time zone of your destination. So for example, on the flight out, try to eat for the time zone of the Maldives and vice versa. I mean, obviously you're going to be at the mercy of when they serve food. If you're choosing to eat the airline food, if you're taking your own, try to eat on the time zone that you're going to. Stay hydrated. This is so important. Traveling is really dehydrating. Remember to try not to rely on caffeine on the flight, because that might affect your sleep on the other end. And then sleep as and when you have the opportunity. I'd stay away from alcohol when you're traveling too. I don't know whether you're like traveling with your boss or whatever, and whether it's tradition to have like a little tipple or whatever, but I wouldn't go too mad on that, because that will also mess up your sleep. Episode 119 of the podcast also has some useful tips, but take snacks if you can, even if that's for the first part of the trip. Stay hydrated, and try to get on a sleep schedule for your destination as soon as possible. Okay, this person did really well Monday to Friday, but they have said that they didn't stick to healthy eating at the weekend and tips to stay on track at the weekends. So I know this person has had this problem quite a bit recently. So listen to episode 86, which is titled Staying on Track at the Weekends. One of the things I've had a look at is to see what your food tracking looks like. You're not tracking. So what I want to say is, there's a difference between healthy eating and eating to lose fat. because healthy eating could be a superfood salad that has nuts, seeds, avocado, some, extra virgin cold pressed olive oil on it. Yep, all really good nutritious food, but actually comes in at 800 calories because everything in there is quite calorific. Still really healthy for you, but maybe not as ideal for you for a lunch if you are trying to lose fat. So do you know you are overeating at the weekends is my first thing, because you're not tracking. So how do you know you are overeating your calories? And it's also been a while since you've added any metrics into the app. So again, it's hard for me to see if your weekends are actually doing you any damage. So if you know that you're overeating because you're like, Chrissy, I'm eating 5 Magnums, there's no way I'm not overeating. Okay, so give me some examples. So maybe let us know in the WhatsApp group, what are the examples? Or if you're shy, let me know privately and I'll answer it in the group. What are the examples? Did you have a takeaway every night of the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday? Did you whack down a giant dairy milk when you were watching a movie on Saturday night? Like, what are the examples here so that I can help give you some practical tips? I.e., right, I see that you had this on Saturday, what about doing this instead? Okay, so I'd love to help you in terms of what you're specifically eating and how that's fitting in with your day. So maybe give me some examples, either track your food for next weekend, and actually maybe track your food anyway, because I wonder if you're even doing that much damage, and let me know your metrics as well. Update those in the app so that I can see what damage you're doing. But yeah, give me some examples. But here's some tips which I expand on in episode 86. So keep some structure. That might be the same breakfast and lunch, and then a bit more of an indulgent dinner. Or if you're going out with the kids for lunchtime, keep the same breakfast. Plan in a reasonably goal aligned dinner so that you can have a bit more of an indulgent lunch out with the family. Make a plan ahead of time. So where are you going? What are the plans for the weekend? What are you doing, and what does that mean for food? If you're out on a day trip at the farm, have you been there before? Do you know, or the zoo? I'm going to choose the zoo because this person's local and I know the zoo. Right, you're going to the zoo. There's not great choices there, so either you're going to choose something that isn't a great choice and accept that, or are you going to take a picnic? What does that mean for what you eat in the evening? Remember, things don't happen by accident. So if your constant drive is to overeat at the weekend, are you being too restrictive during the week? And because this has come up a lot here, I want to remind you of that saying, nothing changes if nothing changes. So what are you willing to change? Are you willing to make some compromises at the weekend? Are you willing to approach and think about your weekends differently, change your mindset around, well, hey, it's the weekend, let's just go mental? So I would stop. I'd also so start making more plans for the weekend. Try to be a bit more structured. Can you get some activity in over those weekends? Maybe during the mornings to set you up, even if it's just a walk. Stop saving all your treats and indulgences for the weekend. It's much healthier to have them spread across the week, and then you won't feel like you have to overindulge them at the weekend. Some facts for you, and I know I've said this on the podcast before. Your weekend, if you start it Friday afternoon, is 42% of your week. So if you're hitting the button as soon as you leave work on a Friday, you are sacrificing 42% of your results. So as I said, this has come up a lot. not just with you, but with other people. And I'll say it again, nothing changes if nothing changes. So what are you willing to change? What action are you willing to take to change the way that your weekends go? Is it about the way you approach them, the way you think about them? Is it the way you plan them? Is it making some compromises? So yeah, we are going to the zoo. We'll take a packed lunch instead of eating at the cafe there because we know the choices aren't great. But my indulgence at the zoo is going to be a Mr. Whippy ice cream. That's what balance is. It's working out what the compromises are. What are the things that it could be really like to have a takeaway at the weekend. Okay, have a takeaway, maybe that's a Sunday night, and keep breakfast and lunch really goal aligned, because then you'll really look forward to that indulgence on Sunday night. Here's the thing about, treats and indulgences. We actually enjoy them more if we limit them a bit more. If you have a takeaway 2-3 times a night, 2-3 times a week. If you reduce that down to once a week, once every 2 weeks, you will enjoy that takeaway so much more. So much more, having something to look forward to. So I'd really like you to think about, what are you willing to change? Because I can give you the podcast episodes, I can tell you to make a plan, I can give you all of these tips, but you have to decide which ones you're going to action. So there we go. There was a bit of tough love in this episode. All sent with love, obviously. If you would like to know how you can join our community, please check the show notes. I have loved answering these questions. Thank you very much. Have an awesome week, everyone. I'll speak to you soon. Bye.